Hey, you guys. This is my first ever chess match analysis video. And bear with me if I'm a little bit slower because this is my first time navigating the controls on this program to edit chess content and then stream yourself or record yourself commentating. So yeah, no, what's it called? This is my first time reaching 1300 elo, and I'm pretty stoked about it. So I've been playing chess for the better part of past 2 years now, and for the first year, like I was pretty off and on. Like I played like really inconsistently, right? Like maybe like once a week. Sure, there would be like weeks where I'd be like playing every day, but then there would be weeks where I just don't. But long story short, just inconsistent. And then I was like 500 to 1200 my first elo. I mean, my first year, sorry. And then this just past year, for the past 12 months, I've been stuck at 1200 for the longest time. I actually was at 1200 for a cool minute, and then I dropped it back down to 1100. And then I just stopped playing as much just because of life and being busy. But then I started playing a little bit more, and I was back in 1200 like this past month when I was at 1100 for the longest time. But long story short, for this past year, I've been stuck between the 1100 to 1200 realm. So finally, after 1 year, I finally broke 1300 elo. All right. So for all you little chess warrior grandmasters out there that are already 1300 plus, I know. But hey, it's a milestone for me. You know what I mean? You guys remember the time when you guys finally hit 1300 for the first time. So pretty excited, pretty stoked. I know I still have a lot to learn, but what's it called? This is just my little analysis of how that match went. So with that being said, I'm gonna begin the review. All right. So starting off, I'm playing as black, and what's it called? I'm pretty much I always play Sicilian Con. So it's a version that I learned from Chess Akeem. Shout out to Akeem. He's a grand wizard at mentoring. So pretty much it's just your and I'm super bad when it comes to, by the way, like your like the coding as far as like the columns and rank numbers. I'll try my best. But yeah, so pretty much you just push pawn from c7 to c5. And then yeah, so typically like this is just like you're pretty much trying to take your opponent's pawn off the center, but not really. But you'll see how it goes. So he pushes his c pawn forward. Then I just take in the middle. Then I push my e pawn forward. He brings out his knight. I move my queen. Again, I'm just following the Sicilian Con version, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, the Sicilian Con is pretty much just the Sicilian and Caro-Kann defense combined, which I've really have been, like, honestly slaughtering players. When I'm black. I used to play Italian, but ever since I learned Sicilian Con, this is by far one of my favorite openings to play with black. Super dangerous, a lot of tricks you can play. There are some weaknesses. I'm not going to share those right now because I don't want anyone using them against me. But yeah, so pretty much I move my queen up to that square right there, c7. And then following an a pawn push, that's just to prevent the knight from coming onto b5, attacking the queen. So some pretty standard openings, pretty standard development happening right now. So right now both players are just in the opening phase. Nothing too crazy is happening. So typically, most players don't really push their bishop out like that, meeting my queen. If they're intending on castling kingside, because once I put my bishop out, then what will happen is if he doesn't take, then it'll pretty much damage his pawn structure, and you'll have to castle queenside, which a lot of players just aren't comfortable doing for whatever reason. I don't know. So I wasn't really expecting that. So he just pushes his pawn forward. He doesn't take. Basic again. This is all standard Sicilian Con opening. But the only thing that really doesn't happen is like the two dark squared bishops meeting. Usually my dark squared bishop is the last piece to get developed. So brings his other light squared bishop out. So he's just indicating to me that he's trying to castle kingside. And then bring my other knight out. And boom. I get him to exactly what I want. To be honest, with this opening, it's really effective if they castle kingside. Like, you want them to castle kingside. All your tricks, all your little aces up your sleeves, you can basically perform. I'll go over that into a minute, my thought process of what I'm trying to do. But yeah, so he pretty much did exactly what I wanted to do, which I'm kind of surprised because he's got like a weird pawn structure. Plus his bishop's out kind of stuck, if you can kind of see right here. So basically, my whole, if you guys know anything about the Sicilian con, the goal is kind of like a fishing pole 2.0 trap. So that's basically where you get like your knight over here to g4, and basically you're trying to get them to push that h pawn up, so that when you protect with your pawn and they take your knight, then pretty much opens up the rook file, allowing your queen to what's called swoop in for a pretty quick checkmate. The only thing is that what's it called? The only thing is that because of that G pawn push, it's making it a little bit difficult. But there's always ideas for hooks, and a hook is when you basically push your pawn up to basically like, let's say my H pawn to meet their G pawn to basically just get it out the way, and then expose their king. So right here, I think what I was trying to do was I was basically just that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get his bishop off the square. Long story short, I'm trying to get rid of the dark squared bishops, but I also don't want his his e pawn to basically just replace the spot of that bishop, making it a triple pawn chain and making it way harder for my queen to infiltrate his back rank. So here what I'm doing is I'm just preparing to push my g pawn up to g5, so I can just get rid of that dark squared bishop. If he takes my bishop, that's what I want him to do. And then here, I just decided to pretty much just trade. I pretty much would... Normally, this knight is what actually is like the main trick to get that H-pawn to come out. But seeing how he has this really doesn't happen. Like, this position doesn't happen, where like he's pushing his G-pawn up with the bishop right there. So this was a little bit of an unorthodox game. This is definitely not one of like the usual like matches I play with Sicilian Con. It usually goes like pretty standard, or some other stuff happens other than this. This just doesn't happen. So at this point, even though this knight is like the main what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? The main showstoppers. With this position, it just wasn't really useful. So I kind of just decided to just trade it. So takes back with his light squared, and then boom, I pretty much have his bishop trap, forcing him to take my dark squared bishop, in which he does. Obviously I take with my queen, and okay, he's just moving his rook out to an open file. Doesn't really do too much. Not really too scared of it. My king, nothing's really being x-rayed. So here, what's it called? So normally what I would do is I usually queenside castle. So plan one is basically use the fishing pole 2.0 version with my my G knight, my G8 knight. If that doesn't go through like it just did, then what I'll do is I'll typically queenside castle, and then I'll get both rooks to come over to the H and G column to really put pressure on these pawns right here. But seeing how I didn't want a queenside castle and put my king directly under his rook, I pretty much just moved it up. My king's still really safe. So preparing me to slide my A rook over to the G column. So when I saw that move, I was low-key, I was thinking a little bit about some X-ray ideas with my light square bishop. But remember, at the end of the day, like, the only thing worth more than a queen and a rook is that king. So I kind of just, even though I thought about it, I just decided, hey, I'm going to focus on the actual goal. Here, I feel like this was a little bit of a mistake. I wanted to get that knight out of the way. That was like the first idea that popped in my head, and honestly, I just reacted too fast. Sometimes I really just don't think I'll just follow instinct, and that's got me up to here where I'm at today. But at the end of the day, I can always still improve. So this was a little bit of a mistake because what happened was he ended up putting his knight in the path of my pawn, which is exactly what I was trying to use to create a hook to get this to get his G3 pawn out the way. So that kind of stumped me there. What happens next? Okay, so here I'm just creating a pretty strong pawn chain. This is where things are about to get a little bit interesting, guys and gals, if you guys are watching. So I'm trying to get basically his knight out. I mean his bishop out the way. So okay, so plan A. Okay, plan A is to basically use the G knight to create a fishing pole 2.0. Plan B, if that doesn't work, is to swing both columns and create threats with my double rooks and my queen. We have a lot of powerful pieces, pointing at his queen side. Now, if this is more the plan B, still is still there. It's still like right there, locked and loaded, ready to go. But also third plan, plan C, is what I'll do is I'll form a battery with my queen. I'll put my queen on my light square along with my light square bishop. And if I can get this light square bishop out the way, and if my queen's in position, boom, automatic checkmate. Queen, let's say it's just queen on d5. Let's say it was already there. And then just slide up to h1, automatic checkmate. So I'm trying to get his light square bishop out the way, but he hits me with a little bit of a curveball and takes it. Now, here, I want you guys to take a quick pause, okay? Take a quick pause and leave in the comment below what you guys honestly would have done within like a 5-second time frame, okay? Without overthinking it too much, what you guys would have done. Now, obviously, once you get up to like 1200, 1100, 1300, even at 800, 900, you know what I mean? Everyone's thinking of tactics. Everyone's thinking about like, what strategies that they can perform. And, that's how you get up to this level, like me at 1300. But at the same time, you're also playing against a player who's at your same level, who also has the same mindset and also trying to think of tactics. So I was super, super close on, taking this bishop right here. You have to ask yourself, whenever opponent blunders, is it really a blunder or is it a trick? And luckily, if you guys see it, which I did catch it, thank God, because I was one game away from 1300. If I would have taken that pawn, he would have taken back with his knight with a check and a royal fork. Or, a royal fork is with a rook, king, and queen. But, a queen-king fork. You guys know what I'm trying to say. So I caught that by the skin of my teeth. And I just decided to, just put some pressure on this bishop. But what I didn't see was this fork right here. A triple rook fork with my king. So he gets me. There's nothing I can really do. That sucked. He took my rook. Rook is your second best piece next to your queen. At this point in the game, I definitely thought that I was like, dang, dude, I'm gonna lose this game. Just like you get super demoralized when you lose good pieces. And at this point in time, guys, I've been bouncing back and forth like on the threshold of 12 to 1300. Before this game, I kept on losing a game and winning a game, and I did that like 4 or 5 times repetition. So I was like, dude, am I about to bounce again, dude? I'm like super behind on my day. I need to just get to 1300 and just finally just put the chess app down. But yeah, so at this point, I was pretty demoralized, but determination is the strongest drug. So I tell a lot of people, put your mind to it, persevere. If there's a will, there's a way. So he takes my rook. Let's see here. I just take his bishop. And for some reason, I don't know what exactly happened here. I actually had to take a pretty long pause on the time. By the way, this is a 10-minute rapid game, by the way. It's not like blitz or anything. It's just regular, just 10-minute chess match. But I took a minute and I was like, wait, why didn't he move his knight? And I'm just trying to look at other tactics, but after evaluating, there wasn't really anything. I don't know why he decided to push his pawn up instead of rescuing his rook. His knight. So I take his knight. Now I'm up, I think, 1 point in material, I believe. And then, okay, what's happening here? He takes my pawn. Yeah, so I'm proceeding with plan 3, which is basically just to create a battery with my light squared bishop and just try to get a super easy checkmate. He takes that pawn. Right now, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to distract his attention with my knight. So I'm trying to get this knight out of the way so I can connect my queen to my bishop. I'll literally sometimes, like, even in other positions, when I have this position, I'll just, like, put my rook on, like, in front of their pawn and just hope that they, like, decide to take it and not see the incoming battery. But that doesn't really work because he blocks. So what do I do here? Oh yeah. As you can see, what would be the next move? He even though he blocked, that was a drawback. What's it called? It was a drawback, but he also had to. If he wouldn't have, that would have been checkmate. Didn't push his pawn, but that allowed me to do a fork. So I got to fork him back. Once I took his knight, I was definitely feeling it. I was like, okay, I'm up an entire piece. What's it called? Like this is G's. I have this game in the bag. So I definitely got my confidence restored 100% for sure. So yeah, he's down. What's it called? A piece. I'm up one piece, so things are looking up. Oh yeah, and then I didn't even see that till like a whole I think like 30 seconds later. But forked his king and his rook. So now things are really starting to go bad for him. Take his rook. Now I'm just completely winning here. Now it's just a matter of trading. So he's like trying to shield his queen side and his king. I'm not really too sure what's going on there, but yeah. Take his pawn. Checks my king. Over here, I definitely saw he was getting desperate. He's trying to check my king. At this point, if he's not going to resign, I already know he's just trying to like draw me out. So I knew that the only next move that he could possibly have would be the c to 5, to see his queen to c5. So what I did was instead of taking, well, obviously that would have been a straight blunder right there if I took his pawn. But I just moved my queen over to, or first I check his king, just kind of tickle him a little bit. And then I proceed to move my queen to guard the C file so he can't check my king. After that, I offer him a queen trade. Obviously, he denies, which is the smartest thing to do. When you're down material, do not trade. I'm just trying to attack this pawn and open up his king more. That way I can really just, invade the shit out of him. We're here. I get a little bit of a queen and a pawn fork, which is cool. Pushes back, take his pawn, and then right here, this is pretty much just like, all right, dude, enough fucking like zigzagging around. This is I'm about to take his king down. So hit him with a check on f6. Then I what's it called? Tickle his king into the move, puts it closer to my queen for some reason, or I think actually that was the only square he can go. Yeah, that was the only square he can go. It's crazy, like the difference of like thought process when you're like recording and thinking about the content you're saying versus the actual game. It's like, holy crap. Like, yeah, anyways, finish him off with a nice little checkmate. So yep, that was my final victory that brought me forth to 1600. What win am I on? Oh, anyways, sorry. So yeah, that was my final game that brought me over to 1300. This is my first ever chess match analysis from narrating live, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And it was a grind. Finally, after one whole year, I was able to get out the 1200 trenches, and next onwards and upwards to 1400. If I can even survive my first 1300 game, which I don't even know when I'm gonna be playing. I might make a Smurf. I might make a Smurf just to literally warm up, and just really be like on lock mode before I even like jump back on my main. I don't know, but yeah. Hope you guys liked it. Put your guys' thoughts and feedback, any advice, anything, anyone that's higher than 1300, anything that you can give a piece of 2 cents to, to help me with my journey. And thanks for watching. And yeah.